We gotta get your number, or you get ours, just in case, so we don't have to call Natalie. Or you let us know.
Yeah, that would work, so that we don't have to call.
Yeah, we're live.
I know that since this morning when I woke up.
I didn't say alive. I said we are live. Right. Come over here, Juan. You're too far from the
okay.
screen.
I don't need to be on the camera.
Hey, we're almost matching. Look at that. Hey, are you ready? Yeah. Ready? All right. Okay. Oops, your clock just went down. We're on? All right. Buenas tardes. ¿Cómo están? Feliz viernes. Happy Friday to you guys. Can you believe it? It's almost the end of the month. We got one more week, Juanito. Am I right? One more week? Oh, my goodness. September morning. And then Labor Day. Labor Day is on its way. Well, welcome to Nuestra Cominidad NWI. This is our community show. It's not really a community show, but it's about the community because it's just Juan and I, not the entire community. We'd like to bring what great things are happening in the region and beyond. We go out of state. We go out of the country. We go out of the country. Pay no mind. Juan does pay no mind to the noise. Juan just says, whatever. Don't breathe so hard either. I'm sorry. You're going to blow his ears. It's always a good day when you're starting with laughter and smiles. I couldn't say that much through the night.
I didn't start my day with laughter and smiles today.
Oh, why not? You're supposed to.
Because I woke up late and
I was saying, thank you, Jesus.
Well, I did.
And I was throwing up. Thank you, Jesus. I was dry heaving.
Well,
thank you, Jesus. And I had such a pain. Thank you, Jesus, for the pain. Just give me strength so I can grin and bear with it. And it's going away in Jesus' name. And it finally went away. It's called pain in the neck. I had a pain in my neck and it went to my eye and it went downhill from there. But here I am, alive to be alive. I'm glad to be alive. And we're supposed to be this way all day long. And Juanito did say it's a little warm in here and now I concur with him. I was trying not to. Mine don't matter. Right? So, happy Friday. Espero que tengan un feliz viernes. Aquí estamos en nuestra comunidad no residentiana, aquí con su servidor Juan M. Andrade y Eve Gomez, EVE, as most of you know me as. And it's going to be a great show. We have a wonderful guest. They say 3 times it's your lucky strike. 3 times you're out. Well, she's here after the 3rd try. Finally made it, which I'm glad she did. And so we have a few announcements, but before we go any further, the views expressed by the host and the callers of the show, not necessarily the views of WLTH radio management, owners, sponsors, and advertisers. So what do you have over there, Juanito?
Okay, Eve, real quickly, because
I always ask how you doing.
There are not going to be any announcements tomorrow.
I always ask you, how you doing?
I'm great.
What if I don't let you make announcements? Then what? What you gonna do?
I said there won't be any.
What if I don't let you make any on my show? What you gonna do? A ver.
It's already hot enough right now. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, there's a brand new Goodwill store on Ridge Road in Griffith, Indiana. They are looking to hire or bring out 100 new jobs to the Goodwill in Griffith, Indiana. So look them up if you are looking for work.
It's an awesome facility too.
So September the 12th, join the group here, Community Participation Planning Committee for the former DuPont East Chicago facility. Join them on September the 12th for an informational meeting for East Chicago Gateway Partners, former DuPont East Chicago facility at the Riley Park facility, 1005 East Chicago Avenue, East Chicago, Indiana, September the 12th, 6 p.m. 911 facility in Crown Point is hiring. Go to employment at lcec911.org or call 219-755-6510. And they are also going to be hiring people that do not have any dispatch experience. Next month, parade in East Chicago for Mexican Independence Day Parade, which I think is Sunday the 15th. And then on Saturday, September the 21st, you have the Hugs Mexican Independence Day Parade released. Okay, let's see, the Love Lalia Foundation is in its short 5-year existence has helped raise thousands of dollars in support of finding a cure for Crohn's disease. This is a non-for-profit foundation. Is driven by a single goal: to do our part in making the world a better place for everyone battling inflammatory bowel disease. Blah blah blah. So
blah blah blah. What's that? Blah blah blah. Does it say that?
There's a lot here.
Does it say blah blah blah?
So there's a number here. I guess so there's a number here at 817-805-6181, And I'll go on here. Eve.
Yes.
America's Promise grant provided by the Calumet Area Industrial Commission. Free tuition for students in manufacturing. CAIC will pay the tuition for students attending colleges in the following counties: Cook County, Illinois, Will County, Illinois, and Lake County, Indiana. Student requirements: you have to be 18 years of age or older, have a social security card, valid state ID or driver's license, class schedule. Point about this is sometime next month, the representative for this grant and partners will be right here on Nuestra Cominidad Northwest Indiana, so we can have information directly from the people that are involved with this program, and only on Nuestra Cominidad Northwest Indiana. I'm gonna leave this alone. Last thing, to Ariana Rosado, who was a former Chicago Bull, lovable, and daughter of Jose and Trina Rosado. She is now one of the two dancers for BB Rexall.
I thought you were going to say some bad news.
Ariana Rosado.
Out there, I'm like, did she pass away?
Ariana Rosado, former Chicago Bull lovable, is now one of the two dancers for BB Rexall. And on that note,
she was also one of the
contestants, right? So thank you.
Felicidades, felicidades, Ariana. Congratulations to you.
So on that note, and maybe at the end of the program, I can talk a little about mañana, por favor.
I don't know, maybe. What you think? Anyway, we thank you for going live on YouTube with us and on Facebook, and also streaming live. Although, yeah. So we are on Fridays. That was my old Fridays at 5 o'clock and Saturdays at 10 a.m. We have an amazing show tomorrow that I may not be privy to be around for. But also I want to thank the Unión Benéfica Mexicana, and of course, Tony Barreda. I always want to keep me on my toes and, always send us information that they are taking. Anyone interested in having a food booth, or participating in the parade should call 219-293-2794. 219-293-2794. Saludos a Unión Benéfica Mexicana, cuz Margaret Gomez, she's the president of the organization, if I am not mistaken. And Tony Barreda, muchas gracias por siempre tenernos en mente. The event started in 1926. Did you know that one?
How old were you back then?
1926. I wasn't born or thought of then, but God had created me in his mind already. It was canceled twice. Once in 1942 because of World War, I guess. World War. Yeah, get it. War. And twice because of the tragedy of 9/11. So we want everyone to join us.
9/11.
9/11. Thank you for correcting me.
I make it a point too.
Thank you for making a point, Juan. Do you want a hero cookie? Do you want a hero cookie, dude? What? What you pointing at? What about it? Speak.
I did it already. Just to let you.
Huh?
I sent this to this
already.
Already.
You could have waited afterwards, but anyway. Okay. Well, we got trying to pull up this picture for.
Are you multitasking?
That's all the time, all day long. You should know that. That's how work gets done. If you just do one thing at a time, forget it. Am I right?
That is absolutely true.
You just can't get things done. All right. Well, we are 60 minutes after the hour. We're a little delayed, but that's okay. It's better late than not. And we have a special guest here. We have Kathy Luther of NWI. And for those of you that don't know what NWI is, like myself, it's a long one. Northwest Indiana Regional Planning Commission. Can you remember that one? Northwest Indiana Regional Planning Commission. Kathy Luther. She is the chief of staff. And I thank you for coming on and talking to us and sort of.
Thanks for having me.
I won't say clean the air, but just let us know exactly the things that you guys do, the things that you're not supposed to do, and the things that you do, why you do what you do. But first, tell us who you are. Here, we're being blocked here by the mic here.
So speaking of doing multiple things at once, I'm the chief of staff and I'm the director of environmental programs
All right.
at NWI, because it seemed like I could do two jobs. And so we're a regional planning commission. What does that mean? There's a lot of different kinds of regional planning commissions, but we are a council of government. So what does that mean? That means that we are made up of elected officials from all around the region. So we have 53 commissioners that are NWI, and they are the ones that vote. And there's about a dozen of them or so that are on the executive board, and they also vote. And every single town, city, and county in Lake Porter and LaPorte County are represented on our board. So, and then the things we do are planning. So sometimes we get some grief from people, hey, you guys do something, but we're the planning commission. So we try to set things up in motion so that things get done. Because sometimes if you don't have a plan, you're not going to accomplish your goals.
Right.
So we are, and the state has charged us specifically with planning for transportation, planning for environment, and planning for economic development at the regional level. So, because sometimes, things across town borders impact each other. And so that's kind of what we do. So we do, some things are required to do, some things we do from specific grants, and some things we do when, organizations ask us to help them. So, but mostly we try to get, look to the future, look at what's good for everybody, like what lifts all boats kind of things. And we do that with both, input from people all around the region and from the elected officials and from all the agencies that like to tell us what to do.
So it's not like you're a one-man show and you just run with it with your own thoughts and your own planning and that's it, right?
No.
It's not just you, NWI.
No,
right?
no.
Did you guys hear that? It's not just them, NWI. It's not just them. You have the board of directors and you got the constituents, legislators involved, right?
Yeah, we have a bunch of, besides the elected officials, we have a whole bunch of committees, probably too many committees there. I don't know, but so we have an environment committee. We have a kind of a roadway committee called Surface Transportation. We have a transit operators group that kind of shares tips and challenges. We have a group called Pedal and Paddle that does
Well,
trails.
that's a tongue twister.
Pedal and Paddle that does
Pedal and Paddle. Can you say that?
Walking and sidewalks and trails and water trails and stuff like that.
Which are great to have.
Yeah, and we have let's see, what did I get to? Oh, land use like planning, right? Because it doesn't make any sense across the region if one community zones one way and the other community zones the other way. You need to talk to each other, and some of the practices here, we want to try to tell you the best way to plan and grow. Like it'd be way more cost effective as a region to reinvest in cities that already have infrastructure than to build new ones. So we don't have any like authority, but we do trainings and we put things out there to try to make sure that all of the communities know what's the best way to grow or the best way to design their communities.
Well, on that note, we're going to go for some commercials, Kathy, so we'll be right back after these. Don't go anywhere, guys.
You guys are fun.
I got to keep it that way. Otherwise,
I know.
It would be like, I really want to.
I think I'm fun. And then I get on mic and I'm like, I'm not fun. But it's okay.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
So, are all those people watching? No, good. There's some people watching.
People are watching. I always say that those numbers aren't always accurate because when I go back, the numbers is higher. So. We got a couple hundred people watching within a day. Increase, and then I share it, which is why I'm multitasking. I'm inviting others to watch.
I should have. Wish I would have known that. So I'm on the board of Stewart House. It's like an urban farming Gary, and we're trying all year to hire some youth workers. Could you give you guys a job?
Well, you can mention it at the end.
Oh,
yeah, mention it. Yeah, I mean, I'm working with Purdue Extension with Lupe Valterra and also Tony.
Oh,
and,
yeah. So
because they're bringing stuff to Gary.
Yeah. So Tony came to our board meeting last month, and so we hired this guy Pax. He's working a bunch of stuff. He's working cleaner. He's working out. He's working. But anyway, so we got a adult. So then we had money to hire some kids, and we had a bunch.
We got money to hire some kids,
and we have been very challenged to
get people that are interested in working. And is it paid or is it volunteer?
It's paid. We have a little. We have some money. Part time. It's like
But yet people say there aren't any jobs.
Right.
No, you're just
Right.
picky about what job you want, and then the one you want you don't qualify for, so then go get your skills. Go learn them.
Yeah, it's like the help in a garden. So you don't really need like
That's therapeutic.
you gotta like play with a hose, kill weeds, build stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you guys heard it over there on YouTube and Facebook. We're in need of what's the age?
It's a Stewart House Urban Farm and Garden. If you could find it on Facebook, and I think they have. I think 14 might be the age, 14 and up that we could hire. But
You want to work on some?
don't quote me on the
land
14 because it might be.
You qualify. You're 18. Work on some land, and they pay you.
It's the Stewart House Urban Farm is at 15th of Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
That's my push. That is not even related to my job.
Yeah,
By
that's
the
not her
way,
job. That's not
that is
Kathy's job.
Not related to the Northwestern Indiana Regional Planning
Right.
Commission at all.
We are back. Yes. So we're back, but of course, some of you on YouTube and Facebook, and you're listening and watching off the air conversations, but that's okay because it's information that you need to know anyway. We're back here with Kathy Luther she is the Chief of Staff from NWI, and that stands for what, Juan? Do you remember?
He wrote it down.
Northwest
I saw.
Indiana Regional Planning.
Regional Planning Commission.
Good
Woo!
job.
Let me also say this just for clarification.
Mhm.
We are on 1370WLTH.com, but you can't see us.
That's
You can
okay.
still hear us.
They don't need to see our ugly selves.
As organizations like the Forum and other organizations such as that, even I actually were part of Keith Kirkpatrick's leadership Northwest Indiana. I was class number 29, and then when they first started their
31.
when they first started their Slice program for youth,
Oh yeah.
I've been a member ever since, and they kind of switched over the entire program. But they've used a lot of organizations such as yourself to come to these Slice programs and address the students about what the organization's doing. So I just wanted to bring that point.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, I love Ellen. I love Slice.
Yeah. And hello, everybody on Facebook. There's an echo. I don't know what that is about. I don't know if the echo is you're listening to the stream or you're listening to Facebook. Actually, I just heard it. Anyway, so we have a NWI representative here, and that is Kathy Luther. And so one of the reasons why I brought her, we brought in Mitch, and I forget who else came on board. Remember 2040 in Maryville? On Saturday morning.
Oh, 2040.
The 2040 plan. You don't remember?
Yeah.
You have.
you just like.
But you know what? That 2040 plan's been going on for
Yeah, we
ages.
just finished the 2050 plan.
Yeah.
So so let's go back to the
moving with it.
2040.
Okay.
For those that don't know, what is 2040 or was?
Well, so we have to, for the transportation stuff, think 30 years ahead. You think what's going to happen, because honestly, it takes 10 years at least to do a big transportation project. So you got to think way ahead. What will the region look like? And in 2040, we tried to kind of guess what the region will look like. Well, and we said, well, if everything just keeps going the same exact way it is, more people are going South County and Porter County and LaPorte, and less people are up north around the lake. And then we said, well, what if all the cities do, like, if we do some kind of massive growth control thing like Seattle, like we would never do that in Indiana, but then what would happen? And all the people had moved north. Well, the population will look like this, but that's not very realistic. So we ended up with kind of a mixed projection. And but the reality is we don't have any control over that. And then the recession happened and nobody was building at all. And then so most of the stuff we plan for, and the really thing is the plan is about transportation. That's what it really drives, the dollars for transportation. But we do a comprehensive plan because everything's connected. You can't like just build a road and not pay attention to what that does to the environment, or where the houses are, where the hospitals are, where people need to go, and where the jobs are, right? You build all these houses and then maybe there's no jobs there. So we did a comprehensive plan. And but what we found is that this method of projecting what might happen in the future and then investing your dollars to work that way, it doesn't work that well because there's a million other reasons people decide where to live or put a factory or whatever, and it's not just because there's a road there. That helps, but that's not the only reason. So so this time we did 2050, we did a little different. We asked people what's going to change in 30 years, what could happen that we don't have any control over. You know, like e-commerce is an example. Like who would have thought 10 years ago that everybody would be calling up or calling. That tells you how old I am. Ordering up everything from Amazon, and there's Amazon delivery vans everywhere.
Mhm.
And so like some cities and Uber, some cities that had almost no people driving around in their downtowns, they did such a good job at making their cities less congested with traffic. Now they're full of Uber drivers driving around in
Mhm,
circles,
mhm.
and now the congestion is back. So instead of trying to guess where people might be, we try to think of what are those surprises that might happen, and then let's put our money for things that work no matter what happens. So that's how we kind of changed it up. But since 2040, a lot of things happened. I know on the environmental side, we some of the priorities in the 2040 plan were urban core reinvestment, and we worked with the RDA and the cities of Gary, Hammond, Chicago, and we got $1.4 million in brownfield grants from EPA, and we've done a variety of projects around the cities. The best success story was this project that was a vacant auto repair shop, and now it had a leaking storage tank under it, and now it's a brand new dialysis center in East Chicago. So it brought a whole bunch of new investment. So that was something that directly we took with the 2040 plan and got a grant because we had a plan. We're able to get those resources because we worked together, and it wasn't the different cities fighting or competing with each other.
Mhm.
It was a lot easier for EPA to give us money if we do it that way. Like if Gary and Hammond asks, and then East Chicago asks, then
So it's a collaborative effort.
yeah, it's makes it, you may want to make it as easy as possible for the federal government to give you money, and one way to do that is to be working together and not competing with each other.
I think that's my motto. I
Mhm.
think, there's more power in numbers. The more we
Mhm.
come together, the
Yeah.
stronger we become.
Mhm.
And Juan, you have any questions for Ms. Kathy?
On the issue of transportation, I have a major issue when it comes to driverless semis, driverless cars,
Scary.
driverless airplanes,
Mhm.
driverless Ubers, Lyfts.
Mhm.
And the word is, it's a lot safer,
Mhm.
and it's not. All the industry needs to do is make the safest vehicles possible.
Mhm.
Even some time ago, I read where one of the major car manufacturers wanted to make a driverless vehicle without any brakes and without a steering wheel. Nothing is fail safe. There needs to
Ouch.
be a human.
Yeah.
There needs to be a
Mhm.
human backup system
Right.
because nothing is fail safe.
Mhm.
So that's one of the biggest issues I think that I believe is going to be affecting our roadways, our airways, and
Right.
who knows
Mhm.
what else, including the use of drones and just congestion within our streets, air, and everything else. I don't know in what community they have these electric scooters that only go so many miles.
Oh, that's
That was I seen
Mhm.
in some community they were people they were allowing these scooters in
Indianapolis
major
has them.
Yeah.
streets.
A
Indianapolis
lot of the
has
big
them.
cities.
Chicago up north
Mhm.
And you know
has
what just
them.
happened? I just read a story about some lady in some community
Mhm.
with a lot of traffic was on one of those in traffic, and she was just taking off
Well,
life support.
you know what, Juan?
No,
Let me
no,
just
no.
say this.
It doesn't make
If
any
we
sense.
think of always,
No.
somebody's gonna.
I'm talking about let me finish first
Common
one thing.
sense.
Let
There
me
we go.
a
Common sense
lot
was
of
so
our
common.
a
We
lot
all
of our
would have
people
it.
that we have in office do not have common sense. They're not looking at what may happen down. I apologize. They do not look at what can happen and what did happen.
So
Going to
then let's
continue to
just be
happen.
hermits. Let's
No.
not take risk. Let's not do anything because there's a possibility that someone will die. Just walking out the street, Juan.
And she did die
There you go.
needlessly.
Again, if we don't take the risk to do
she made.
anything out there, to create anything that's
Mm.
inventive with electronics and whatnot, then if we're always going to live in fear, then we're going to be hermits and not do anything, Juan. Think about that.
I read somewhere that if someone tried to propose using natural gas for home heating nowadays, they would never approve it because some people will die from it.
And where are we now?
But everybody uses
Exactly.
But
Do you
anyway,
use natural gas
this
in
is
your house,
way
Juan?
off
That's
of my
dangerous.
expertise.
That's dangerous. You could blow up in there, man. Did you not know? But yet they
so,
did it, right? And now you're thankful that they did it,
Remember
right?
to get you later, okay?
But anyway,
I'm just saying common
Right.
sense.
So to those self-driving cars, that probably is not my area of expertise. My boss, Ty Warner, the executive director, he's actually done a lot of research and on that topic. But that's one of those examples of something where we don't have any control over. If that happens,
Congress has control.
but we don't normally see. So what can we do in case it does happen to try to be ready. Well, one of the things those self-driving cars are going to need is really good. The roads have to be really good. The paint has to be really perfect. They need all the cues to tell them where they're at in space because they don't know, right? So, so one of the things to do as you're investing dollars is invest in that repaving and the striping and try to prioritize that and safety features that you would put in anyway, because safety features that help people will also help if those cars happen.
Right.
So
right.
that's
So you're just being prepared.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to be kind of prepared for.
Can I make one more point?
Yeah, go ahead.
One more point about the driverless vehicles, and I brought
Does
this
it
up
have anything
before.
to do with NERC, please?
That's okay.
Well, no,
I
but
know you're
it has to do with driverless
He does
vehicles.
this in every show.
But-
So he's
which-
always talking
which-
about driver's
I don't
list,
know how many people have
but
thought
do you have
about
a
this.
question for Kathy?
Which I don't know. Well, I
One,
want to get her
two.
opinion on it.
Don't
if
go
you
off
can.
the subject.
And
Come
I'm
on.
not getting off the subject here.
Okay.
But when it comes to when someone's driving a car and they may be intoxicated or whatever the case may be, and they slam and kill somebody. Now let's take, for instance, a driverless vehicle out there. They slam into a pedestrian and kill that person. What happens there? In the other situation, that person in that vehicle will go to court. What happens in another situation when something like that happens and there is no person in that vehicle? Someone needs to be held responsible.
Right. It's going to be a
That's the other major point.
corporation, and the
And that's not going to work
corporations
for
don't
me.
have a lot of.
No one's
And that's
telling you to
but
go buy
here's
it.
no, but no. You know what?
Right.
Don't go on the street while you make it run
as
over.
long as they give people an option, always
There
to
probably
either buy
will
one
be.
you can drive yourself or one that's driverless.
But,
Let's just be optimistic.
so there's some statistics, and I'm not going to give you any statistics because I don't know the
Right,
numbers,
right.
but there's a lot of information that and NDOT says this to a lot to us at meetings that we have pots of money just for making the road safety money, and but pedestrian injuries and deaths are going up and up and up, and it's distracted driving. It's people on their phones, or so I finally got a car that I can do a thing on the screen,
too.
but then and then I'm looking at the screen. I'm like, I got to stop looking at the screen. So even without the driverless cars, we're still having bigger problems, and it's hard to figure out how to.
You just got to make the best with what we have and what comes up. Run for president, you'll change that one. Run for Congress, you'll change that. You don't have to buy what's out there in the market, but if we keep living in fear, then we're not going to try anything. Look at the person and say, I'm going to make it to the moon. They thought he was crazy.
If it's not called living in fear, but go ahead.
It is too.
Go for it. Go ahead.
It is too. What is it? Common sense. Oh, common sense was so common. We would have it, right? So with what you're doing, and I have been there as an interpreter through several of your presentations in Michigan City, in Hammond, in Gary, in East Chicago. And those are great pictures that you've shown out there of the things that you're working on. But you just said it earlier, you're not a one-man show. You can't do everything on your own. Now, I know that you guys have had some hiccups along the way. I think that's putting it mildly, if you will. And I guess maybe there is a certain type of idea that NERC should do or shouldn't do. Is the audience sometimes right or not when it comes to the things that they're requesting of you to change or take part of or think about?
Well, there's things we can change and there's things that we can't. And we are, I think that what I really want people to know is that if we're not meeting everybody's needs, that's not because we're not trying and we're doing the best we can, but there are 750,000 people in Northwest Indiana, and we're not going to reach them all. And a lot of people don't care. I mean, of all the things going on in this country right now, maybe NERC is not the top on people's list to come out to. And so,
and it's not because they weren't able to get there. Some are pretty they're not interested. Have you ever gone to a NERC meeting, Juan? And if not, why not?
You know what? NERC's got a long history. Am I correct?
Yeah.
I probably have. Probably during the time when I was part of LNI or even before that. I've been involved here and there for many, many years.
And our region is really challenging. Transit in our region stinks. I think I'm comfortable to say that.
Yeah.
Not everywhere, but in most of the region it does. Yes. I mean, I'm in Valpo. We have great transit, but you can't get anywhere else on it except Chicago.
Right.
So we try very hard to go out in areas where there's transit. We always go out to areas that are legally ADA accessible. What does that mean? That means that some parts of our region we never go out to because they don't have transit. So is that fair? But I mean, we try to do.
And it's not your fault that you
Right.
don't have transit there, or is it?
No. So all we can do is program federal dollars. So I actually was doing some looking. Like the region gets, I want to say maybe about $40 million for transit in a given year. Maybe that's 4 years. But anyway, a big chunk of that goes to the train. All of it has to be matched. If you want $1 of federal funds to run a bus, you have to have $1 of your own. If you want $1 of federal funds to buy a bus, you have to have 20 cents for their dollar. So that's a challenge. And then your local government has to decide to put up the 50 cents or the 20 cents per dollar. And if they don't want to, there it is. And so again, we talk about build your community so transit will work. First of all, that you need things to be close together. And we put the money out there. And to be honest with you, there's not enough money in transit in the world. And some people say transit subsidized. That's terrible. Well, your road is subsidized too. So roads are the same way, 20 cents local for $1 federal. So, where was I going with this? I was going somewhere.
We were talking about, or is it all your responsibility with these meetings at your workshops and forums? Someone had an issue with what you're calling it. To me, let's just get together and see what you have to share.
Well, yeah, I think that one of the things, and it's not just us either. Like I came up from the environmental side, and I will tell you that people don't come out for meetings very much anymore. I mean, it used to be you get thousands of people out for an environmental permit, or maybe hundreds. Okay, that's probably excessive. And now maybe you get 2 or 3,
Right.
And they have all the public meetings. People are just busy. Everybody's doing, 2 jobs or whatever. And and we're actually not required to have a boring stand and listen to someone talk meeting. I mean, some people like that kind of meeting, so we're trying to do that.
Right.
Sometimes, our commission meetings, our committee meetings, those are all subject to open door law. So we follow the open door law in Indiana. But we think it's better to go out to where people already are. So we did a lot more this time. Instead of having a meeting, invite people to come to us, go to them. Went out to farmers markets, went out groups and organizations and talked to the people there. We did a thing. I went out to one. We were doing the kind of a money game. We made a money game. If you had $1 million, and we gave people a little fake funny money, and then we had a bucket for environment and air quality, and a bucket for safety, and a bucket for bus, and a bucket for a road, make your roads better. Okay, where are you going to put your funny money? And we went and did that. I personally did in Whiting at one of their runs, and we did all over the region. And so we think that's more entertaining for people. They're already there. You're not taking them out of their day and schedule to go to something and sit for an hour, So
how well attended were those?
Well, those are really good. We got feedback from hundreds of people. I would say hundreds, probably not thousands, because let's be honest,
Right.
But plus and then we do a lot of Facebook and social media as well.
Awesome. And on that note, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after these commercial breaks. And so we'll get into.
Probably gonna get in trouble for saying public meetings are boring.
Nope. I'll clear that up because that's why I asked. Yeah. So, how engaged were they? They're more engaged in that kind than the other, right?
Oh yeah. Plus, it's a game. Their kids would come up, hey, and so I'm the environmental. Everybody picked environment first and transit second, and so always I'm fighting for a little bit of money for air quality projects out of the road projects. And so we put some up front. Let's put this much into air quality because that's what the people wanted the most important. So,
but you're not a standalone agency that deal with all the things that they are throwing at you.
Yeah, right.
That's what I wanted to. Okay. I know that there's some things that maybe you guys can change, but you can't please everybody.
Right.
I know that there's some things. Oh, my battery's low. I should have brought the charger home. I forgot.
Yeah, because I would like to talk about, like, we could set the table, and we have this meal of dollars that aren't ours, they come from the federal government.
Right.
But, you know, the cities come and pick what they, and the transit operators.
The community or the public should also not just target it on NWI, but talk to them as well, those that are involved in it.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to bring that out.
Yeah.
Come back on the air.
And, you know, it depends where you live. I don't know how some of the communities, I think, do good public outreach with their residents. Some
Right, right. And you know, if I'm an advocate and I know that there aren't any transportation, I will hope that one day that we bring back transportation in hand. But at the same token, you know what? I'm going to try to get a van so I can get these people to come and listen to this. And not just say, well, why did you choose it at this hour? Well, we chose it during the day. Then I'll say, well, I didn't have time to come during the day.
Yeah.
Because I work a 9 to 5. And, you know, when you start wanting to please everybody, we're not going to be making everybody happy. Some people, but not all. And that's something that we need to look at and be more open-minded to things.
Yeah.
And not be so much of an attacker.
Right. It's like, yeah, so we almost always do one meeting during the daytime hours, because so people that have to do the demand response can get there, and then we do some evening ones, and then, yeah, I don't know.
It's not that you have it. It's
Yeah.
not that you just done evenings or you just done
Right, we
days.
try to
You're
move-
doing
yeah.
both.
hmm But every single meeting can't be everything, because, you know.
So I'll ask about your last ones. What was
Okay.
it that you were,
Mhm.
because I finished watching it.
Okay.
What was the last ones you were talking about, and what did you bring to the community? And let's be honest, how well receptive they were. Again, I would
The ones
want
I was
someone-
at were great. I wasn't at the ones
That was the beginning. That was the
I know.
first one.
Mhm.
The
I don't
second
want to.
one, didn't she do it too?
Yeah, but she got a little better controlled when the Fed showed up.
Oh.
Actually, and Federal Highway showed up.
Oh. Someone mentioned Juan. Of course, they need poor Juan because I'm always beating up on you. CTU delegates going to Venezuela in support of Maduro. That was her comment. We can talk about that later. But CTU delegates going to Venezuela to support Maduro.
You know who just went over there?
Who?
Chicago Teachers Union to Venezuela. I didn't read the article.
And what did they go over there for? To
I
get
don't know.
beat
How
up?
much, and how much money did it cost when they have these
Get
issues?
beat up? I'm
The
hearing all the
union went,
stories.
Like volunteers, like a mission trip, or like the
I
leadership
didn't read
went
it.
for
I didn't read
something.
it. I just said that actually, it's on my phone here, but I seen that. I don't know how many, but I don't know why would they.
Why would they
And
go?
who spent,
Well,
where did the money come from? Was it from there?
are they
or was it
Maduro?
paid
Are they
for?
Maduro supporters? You know, that's it. Mm. All right, welcome back to Nuestra Cominidad NWI Indiana. I know that our show today is mostly English, and then towards the end we'll just say a few things in Spanish. We have our wonderful guest here, Kathy Luther, Chief of Staff of Northwestern Indiana Regional Planning Commission, otherwise known as NWI for short. And so we're talking about the workshops or the forums that they bring out to the community. Maybe it be NWI, but there are other people that join there from other committees. Am I correct? Tell us a little bit more about those workshops.
Yeah. So, historically, we've tried to go out and as our federal regulations for the transportation stuff we've been talking about, are pretty very vague about what they want us to do. They just say, "Hey, get some public input." So, in the past, we've tried doing kind of public meetings, or not a hearing, but a meeting. You know, and we come and we talk a little bit about what we're doing, and then we get comments. Or sometimes we try an open house format where we have different stations about different parts of the project, and people can walk around. And there's no format that's perfect for everyone. The last format we did, 2 meetings ago, we did a half and half. We did an hour of open house and an hour of formal hearing, and we had a person there to type up everything right away and do a actual transcript and everything. And very few people came out for that. And so the next time we said, let's make it interactive. Let's hear what people have to say about the questions we're actually trying to answer. Like, like what's best for you, and so we usually try to do 2 meetings in Lake County and 1 in Porter and 1 in LaPorte. We're probably going to do less of those because they do, in fact, not get a lot of people out for them. But the last round we did, I wasn't in the Lake County meetings. I was in the Porter County meetings. In Valparaiso, we had a presentation, and then we broke people into tables and had them discuss different topics, like how interested are they in regional stuff? Do they know what we do and who we are? Do they want to know? What would make them more interested in us? What part of what we do is more important to them? The environmental stuff, the transportation stuff, a room full of elected officials working together.
That'd be nice.
What interests them? And it was really productive, and we got some really good. I think we got some good ideas from that. I particularly remember a gentleman that had some feedback about, well, tell us ahead of time what you want us to do. Do you want us to read something? Do you want us to spend 10 minutes or an hour? I thought, oh, that's a good idea. We could, just put out there a little more specific what it is. And Michigan City, people were really interested in, they were really interested in like shoreline topics there and some other topics, but some of the meetings, people didn't like the format and they wanted, I'm not sure what is wanted, but and we tried to have a program so people could learn, and then an interactive discussion. And I guess some of the people didn't like that format.
So I've been in some where it was very engaging. You actually had a camera videoing the stories of people sharing their thoughts about it, and the big, huge pictures. That was at the casino out in Michigan City several years ago. I thought that was pretty well attended. And of course, I was there in the event that there was a Spanish-speaking person. So I even appreciate that you go that far, even if it's just one person out of the audience that doesn't understand. You want to make sure that you're also catering to them to understand what's being said. Same thing in Miller. I was there at the art gallery. I don't know if it was a year before, a couple years ago. It was several years ago, right? And this last one that I was invited to interpret, I was not very pleased and happy because I wasn't able to finish the whole thing. Not that there was anybody to interpret, but I was there. I mean, I was hired for that, but I had to engage myself after hearing so much of an individual that day that it really turned me off to say, is this what you guys get from the public?
Sometimes we do. Sometimes we get,
you get beat up,
vilified. And I think, part of that, when you do public service, you're going to get that because nobody's going to be happy all the time. But I think that it's not necessary to be personal. Everybody's doing their job. I mean, and I keep coming up with environmental examples, but I came up on the environmental side of the shop, and some people work for the mill and that's their job to make them spend less money. But they still they live here. They want to have clean air and water. They're doing what they can do. And then some people want to be the ones outside, picketing or writing letters and making it stronger. And that's how it works. You come in with, everybody wants the best they can get. And then you have to come in and kind of negotiate or work it out. It's hard to do that if people are not at least trying to, you can't tell what they want to get out of it other than
being heard.
Yeah. And
I was very disappointed.
Some people leave. A lot of people leave. One of the challenges we've had.
Well, after hearing somebody that just won't stop, I'm going to walk out. I'm going to leave too because you're not respecting my time.
Yeah. We've had public leave. We've had facilities that won't let us come back and have meetings there anymore. We have a high school
because you guys become disruptive.
Because the meetings get really disruptive.
Wow.
And so then.
Have you been in one of those ones?
Yeah. I do have a question. When you go into a city or a town to do your meetings, do you contact the mayor or the town manager there to let them know you're coming in, and maybe they can use their city or town media network to let them know? And in addition to, I know the meetings are for the general public. What kind of representation do you get there from the officials from those cities or towns? And pretty much. And the other thing is this. there's a lot of not-for-profit organizations throughout each and every city, town, and whatever. Do you contact representatives from the different organizations just to let them know that their organization know that you're coming?
You're in town.
We do a lot of email and social media notifications. So we have the elected officials, they come to our meeting. Well, the board comes once a month. We always give them the schedule of our public meetings. We have been making more of an effort to specifically tell the ones, hey, we're going to be in your town on this day. And sometimes they send staff people, sometimes they come. I think, if more than one commissioner comes in, now they're in the open door law thing. So what I really think is that in a lot of cases, they have a lot of confidence in NWI to do a good job. And so they don't really worry about coming. And I think that says a lot about us, but it is challenging. People like to see their elected officials there. In Michigan City, we had two, one town council person and one person who had just won a primary there. So, but that's not necessarily the NWI commissioner, but we don't have a lot. So I would say it's not